Thank you, gents. Everyone, you are tuned in to the VERAfied podcast. Welcome to VERAfied. Coming at you.
Welcome.
From the Truth Studios in Agana Heights, Guam, USA.
Yay. Hey, how about that?
I'm
Guam,
John
USA.
Mafnas. This is the legend, Brandon Vera. This is the Chief, Franklin Arriola.
Yep. Bird.
Let's recognize right off the bat our brand partners. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to have this wonderful show. Guam Army National Guard.
That's the one.
Three Blind Mice.
Guam
Windward Memorial.
Yay.
Grapplers Quest and Truth Apparel.
Thank you, Grapplers Quest. Thank you,
Gentlemen,
Truth
it's
Apparel.
great to see you. We have a beautiful, wonderful, crazy show today, so we're going to get right to it. We're going to start with our feature called Truth Be Told.
All right.
Which is presented by the Guam Army National Guard. All right. Real quick, Kuya.
Yes, sir. Sir JM. Yes, sir.
Philippine American. Thank you, Paul. We're going to get right into this one, Truth Be Told. The subject today, the Philippines is America's oldest ally. The U.S.-Philippines relationship soured a bit with the anti-American rhetoric spewed out by former President Duterte, who claimed America could not be trusted. But his successor, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., Bongbong,
Ninong.
BBM.
he hit the reset button, making the strengthening of the relationship between the Philippines and the U.S. the largest plank of his foreign policy. Of course, once he won the election. So, there's still some pro-China, anti-U.S. sentiment in the Philippines. Even some of those congressmen don't necessarily trust us. What needs to be done, Kuya, to ensure that the Philippines and the United States relationship absolutely remains unbreakable?
I honestly believe in my heart of hearts that the U.S. bases need to be reopened in the Philippines. And even though, listen, I'm going to take heat on this, even though it is our fault, and when I say our fault, Filipinos, they just be two workers, the ones that come over on any kind of visa, TNT all the time, and that means tago ng tago, so it makes it hard for everybody else to come in. But if the United States, so let me break that down, Filipinos are notorious. Alam mo na to, once we get into the Philippines, I would say 1 out of 5 usually end up hiding and overstaying their visa
In America.
and hang out in America.
Yeah. Overstays.
I get it, man. Listen, I understand, and it's the land of opportunity. It's exactly why everyone in the world wants to go there. But if the United States would loosen the grips on the visas, tighten up the tracking policies on people who have the special visas to visit the U.S., I think relationships in the Philippines and the U.S. would become better than they have in the history of the world. I think it would do something different, and it would open up our economies. When I say economies, both ways. Yep. More Americans would end up flooding the Philippines, and vice versa. Filipinos would actually be able to go to America without having to prove their bank account for the last 10 years, you know? It's a sad thing, man. I didn't realize how hard it was for people to get visas until we were having our wedding here. And one of my cousins has been traveling the world, all around the world. And then I didn't know this until after the wedding happened. He told me, thanks, Brandon, because of you, because of the fact that you talked to the people at the embassy and they knew that there was a wedding going on. I've been trying to apply for my visa for like 20 years, and I've never gotten approved, ever, ever, ever. But because it was Guam and he could come for the wedding, man, it changed his entire life. Now he can travel the world, including the mainland. So to fix relations between the Philippines and the U.S., to solidify that more than stone, open the bases, give visas to the deserving Filipinos who just want to go visit and come back home. I think that would be the best option for the entire world. And man, Philippines has been the longest ally, and the U.S. invaded the Philippines twice, you know? So I think it's time. There's nobody that's been more loyal or more deserving, I think, than the Philippines. Even with everything that's been happening, even during Duterte's time, people were speaking out against Duterte and China for the U.S., you know? It's time. Make it happen. Make it a territory. What are we doing? Make the Philippines a territory. Let's go.
I don't know how well that's going to go over.
I know it's not going to happen, but people can dream.
Hey,
People
we
can
give the
dream.
truth here, right? We give a different perspective. So, no, I appreciate that answer. Chief, Philippine visa waiver program, long overdue?
Yes, to Brandon's point, you bet. But that overstay issue, that's a big issue. As far as I know, when it comes to whether or not the USA is going to extend that, right? And he put it very well, right? Now, all that being said, to your question, economics usually starts off everything, right? Bilateral trade. United Airlines just opened up San Francisco to Manila direct.
Yes, sir.
I mean, that might hurt our traffic a little bit, but no, that's a great start economically. Because I could, when I saw that in the paper, I said, "Oh boy, wow!" Can you imagine that? All the Pinoys from Daly City, bang, on a plane. And Daly City's 3 minutes away from the airport, right? Take it over to San Francisco Airport, bam, you're in Manila. I mean, that's huge, right? That's huge. Transportation always is a leading indicator for economic prosperity, right? If you can get that infrastructure squared away, trade is going to increase, travel, trade, all that kind of stuff. Philippine mangoes from Guimaras Island into San Francisco, etc.
Yeah, Chief.
The banana lobby, right? The banana lobby, the South American lobby, right? Dole has humongous presence of bananas in the Philippines. Dole and Del Monte as well, right?
Yep, Del Monte,
Chiquita,
sir.
the three big three. Can you imagine that sort of traffic going back and forth? So, I mean, that could really be something.
It's funny how economics kind of makes us, hate each other a little less, right?
Yeah.
There's
Very
some
true.
money for it to be
Yeah.
made. If there's career opportunities, job opportunities, absolutely.
Yes,
but it's
sir.
funny you mentioned Daly City, right? I have a lot of friends and even a few relatives, National City in San Diego.
Yeah.
Take that hop over to San Francisco and direct flight to Manila.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They'd be happy campers. Yeah.
Nationwide,
Yes, sir.
right? Chicago, Houston into San Fran, bang, across.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Absolutely. Okay. Our next segment. We'll start with you, Chief.
bet. Okay.
This is called Finish This Sentence. I'm going to give you part of a sentence.
Give me the good one.
I'm gonna give you a good one. You know what I'm even going to say? Chief, you give me one. But Finish the Sentence is presented by the Guam Army National Guard and 3 blind mice. All right. Do you want the tough one here? Do you want that boom? Do you want that number 2 or that number 3? I'm even gonna let you pick.
See,
because-
I don't even look at the list before our shows start.
Yeah,
I don't prep.
we like to get all that organicity from Brandon Vera because Frank and I look at each other like I didn't see that coming. Yeah, I know. Whoa, Adolf Hitler to dinner.
Swing and a miss by Arriola once again.
I hate looking at the list. When I watch the list or read the list, I get nervous because I start to think about answers. I'd rather them just pop out when you
out,
ask me the
yeah.
question.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But sometimes these questions are like,
So I'd rather not worry about it.
Yeah,
I'd rather not
yeah, yeah.
stress
That
it.
bus driver Mafnas is got a couple screws
wheels
that
on
didn't
the
just
bus
lose
go
his hair.
round
You know?
2 or 3, either one.
All right.
Yeah.
Beautiful. The Palestinians deserve.
Oh, we got deep real quick in here.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Acknowledging that Israel is maybe the number 2 ally to the United States of America behind the Philippines, the Palestinians deserve their own state. That being said, that's supremely sensitive, right? It's like you mentioned, how do you get closer ties to the Philippines? That could be a really sensitive topic
Sure.
at all levels. This is even more intense, more serious.
You can't even
right?
say Palestine or Israel
yeah,
in
it's
some
tough.
rooms.
It's tough.
Well, it's funny, right? I mean, you said it's sensitive. We have family and friends and just such a connection to Northern Marianas. But the moment somebody says reunification, everybody loses their mind, right? Oh my God! What? No, we want to be separated,
That's
right?
very true. Yeah.
And so imagine
Why?
when you have such a long-standing feud
Yeah.
in that area.
And I'll tell you, the people of Palestine, the people of Israel, they just want to live in peace.
Yes.
So you got to find those instigators who
Yeah.
want to just raise holy hell.
Yeah.
Literally and figuratively, right?
The people who making money.
Yeah, so that's Iran and Hamas and their terrorist fronts, right? This current issue, it's a Hamas problem, right? And I don't say that lightly, right? These guys are terrorists. They're barbaric. And they want to see not only the destruction and execution of Israelis, that also applies to Americans.
Yeah.
Yes.
These, I don't think they're good people. I would say they're bad people. They're evil, right? I heard the stories and I watched some video clips. I had to turn away. You know, raping women,
Yeah.
murdering babies, and before you murder them, you put them in an oven so their mother can watch their babies burn. I mean, that's just absolutely freaking barbaric. And there's no place on this planet for that sort of thing, right? And so, yes, the Palestinian people, those who want to coexist and just live their lives as happily as they can, we absolutely have to address that. But in doing so, you have to do the hard stuff first. And you have to find the root of that evil, right? And that is the terrorist groups and Hamas, number one. Number two, the backers behind it, that's usually Iran.
B, do you think there's too much of a kind of a broad brush that everybody's painting the Palestinians, or when they hear Hamas, they immediately think Palestinians and they're not thinking terrorists?
You know, I think, and it sucks for that region and that religion, just because it's become synonymous with violence during our lifetime, and it sucks because not all Muslims are bad, not all Palestinians are. It's just like people are people. There's assholes everywhere, there's douchebags in every race, creed, island, color of the world, and it sucks that everyone's getting painted to a brush. They're getting painted with one brush all the way across. I'm kind of like Chief, like we need to snipe out all the bad people. And I understand everybody's fighting for their territory. And I cannot argue with you one way or the other because I don't know enough. Basics say that Israel showed up 1943 or 1948. In there somewhere in the Bible, it says Israel's always been there. I'm not going to argue with you. What I am going to say, though, is anyone, Israeli or Palestinian, who's killing babies, who's hurting women, who's kidnapping people and hurting civilians should die. I hope you burn a slow-ass death on both sides. And find the money. Follow the money. I'm learning this. Follow the money and you'll see who's funding this. You'll see why they have new Toyotas, where they're getting all this new gear from. Aside from it being left in Afghanistan from this retarded administration. Who's funding all that? And then if they're funding it, if it's American stuff, how are they getting it there? There's a bunch of stuff we can follow and track. I just wish we could get rid of the bad people. And man, honestly, you want to talk about border disputes, Palestine, Israel. Man, let's talk about 30th and Crenshaw split 4 ways. Those guys are having territorial disputes generations now, in the middle of the U.S. and California. So I would say you're never going to appease everyone for territory. We just need to find a way to get along with each other is what we really need to do. And it sucks.
And if I could, John, in closing, this most recent situation, people that say, prior to October 7th, they use the word, there was a ceasefire. There was relative peace. And those who are protesting in favor of an independent Palestinian state, I understand that. I can appreciate it and I accept it. But when you murder, 1,400 civilians just out of the blue, well, that's a tough pill to swallow. And for me, as an American, I would say, gosh, I wish the Israelis would, maybe a ceasefire every 4 hours or whatever they're trying to propose. Put yourself in that Israeli shoes. we were just hanging out doing
Yeah.
business, and you roll into our territory and you slaughter our people. No, I am to the congressperson. Her name skips my mind, but she's Palestinian by ethnicity.
What's her name?
I can see
one of the four.
Rashida Tlaib.
Yeah.
Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, a U.S. congressperson. They're like, ceasefire. Hold on. I see why you're saying that, but hold on. The Israelis, they don't take that crap lightly. Since the day after Genesis, I always say,
Yeah.
they've been, on everyone's targets, right? So they don't take this kind of crap lightly. When they are in line for destruction and just obliteration from the earth, these guys know only one thing, and that's to defend themselves. And I think that they absolutely should defend themselves.
Scorch earth.
Yeah.
Understand. But see, what we're talking about right now, how it's going back and forth, and it's never going to end.
Yeah, it isn't.
It's the same thing with gangs. Like, this is human nature. One's just on a world stage, one's at a local level.
And you mentioned it, the debate. Where do you want to begin? I mean, this is October 7th, right? 2023. That's one thing, but there's 1,000 of those going back,
Yeah.
if not
Absolutely.
more than tens of thousands of these kinds of incidents. So it's hard to argue. It's hard to debate that. I just there's no winner, no loser.
Yeah.
We just need to find a solution. Okay, guys, calm down, right?
Yeah.
Especially at the core of it, Frank. And,
Difficult to do.
Brandon, which is how do you rid hate from
Oh,
humans?
impossible.
I mean, that's
Generations, centuries,
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
there's not enough podcast time to discuss that, but we're going to continue with Finish This Sentence, brought to you by the Guam Army National Guard and 3 Blind Mice. Okay, finish this sentence. B, the next state in our country should be...
The next state in our country should be. So if I had to pick between Guam and Puerto Rico, I would pick Guam. But I heard something a long time ago that the reason why our territories will never become states is because they're black holes for government spending. Meaning we're not producing anything back for the mainland, and they just keep dumping money into here. And Puerto Rico and all the other territories that we have. Started making me think, like, what do we produce? What could we produce to become part of the statehood? And I think if we started looking, and I say we live here on Guam, if we started looking at that as something we could produce for the mainland, whether it be some kind of textiles, some kind of hemp products, some kind of gas, then we could end up becoming a state. And I think that would be an amazing step for the U.S. and for Guam, so that everyone would start to know about us. Not just think that we're those people out there on the island.
Chief, your
Yeah,
thoughts?
one of those things we talked about in the prior episode of Guam's location strategically for the United States.
Yes, sir.
Right. Just that alone is something that's important. Yes, we receive tons of federal aid, and frankly speaking, in many cases we've been able to manage that money well, but in many cases we have not. And so that becomes an issue, no question. But in addition to that, there's also, and I'm talking about Guam now, we've had problems with our own political self-determination. My God, when did we start this question of independence, statehood, Commonwealth, blah blah, all of it, right?
Oh, man.
And,
For yourself-
and the idea of a plebiscite is what, 3-4 decades long? I mean, who
Yeah.
knows, right?
And so even we ourselves internally have to come to something, And then once you say, okay, let's go to a plebiscite. Okay, who gets to vote? 1950 descendants, blah. It just gets. Oh
What's a Chamorro?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a big
Yeah.
one.
It just
Even
gets crazy,
that
right?
debate. Just that debate.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Puerto Rico, on the other hand, they're much closer to the mainland, CONUS. Huge Puerto Rican population in America. They have a bunch of things, natural resources, etc. But I think worse than us, they've had problems managing that money.
Way worse. Way
Right.
worse.
Virgin Islands, oh my God, woo,
Things
okay.
disappear out there, yeah.
I'm not one to point fingers because I don't, but I mean, we have to be honest, right? We have to look at the records
Yes, sir.
of those areas. And so that would be a tough one for the next state, the next 50th state of America to answer your question. I mean, that's a tough one.
But who do you think would be, Chief? Who would be the closest running one, you think?
Probably Puerto Rico for the
Okay.
reasons what I mentioned. It's mass. They have what's the population of Puerto Rico, like 7-8 million or something like that, and then in the country it's got I'd be way off on the population, but it's much bigger than Guam.
Just
That I
so
can
everybody
say.
knows, Guam is 180,000,
80,000?
I think, max.
Tops. Tops.
Max.
Yeah. Maybe 170, right?
Maybe 170.
And then the other thing too is one of the things that come in is the representation in Congress.
Yes, sir.
The Senate specifically. Now instead of 100 senators, you're going to have 102, and that can, if you can see today, that will tip the scales either way. And so the powers that be in Washington D.C., they don't take that question lightly. It's like, okay, phew, okay.
We need them votes.
Yeah. Is Puerto Rico mostly a Democrat? Yes. Okay. You come on in. You're the 51st state. Oh, they're conservative Republicans. Well, maybe not.
We'll
right,
wait
kind of
till
thing,
next
right?
time, till the next go around.
Yeah. That's a loaded question. That's
Yeah.
a tough
It's a good one, though.
You know me. Got tons of those loaded
Yeah.
questions,
It's a good
right?
one.
All right. Here's what we're going to do, guys, because speaking of loaded, we're going to refill the truth serum, right?
Okay.
I think I need a little
Wait
bit
for
of,
that truth serum. Wait for that truth
I
serum.
need some more truth serum in here. Absolutely. It's coming, right, B?
It's coming.
B is
It's
teasing
coming.
that, but it is coming.
Just wait.
We want to recognize our brand partners, Guam Army National Guard.
Yeah, right here.
Master Sergeant Joey.
Master Sergeant Joey
Joey
Cruz.
Absolutely. Staff Sergeant June
June
Bird
Owen.
Owen. There you
Yeah.
go.
Turbo Owen.
Absolutely.
Hey,
and
June.
then 3 blind mice, 4 guys, though. Phenomenal, right? Led by our esteemed director, Bojo Molina.
Yeah, direct.
And then our friends, Sabrina Solis Matanani, brother Bob Solis, Rob Solis, Guam Windward Memorial. We have Grapplers Quest, Brian Simmons.
Coming
Brandon
soon to Guam.
Vera, and Frank Arriola's Truth Apparel.
Brandon Vera's Truth Apparel.
There you go.
Brains.
The Truth Apparel.
Oh, my goodness.
These guys are the brains.
Shop.brandonvera.com. I
I'm
always
just
got to
the bus
plug it.
driver.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back. All right, you are listening and watching VERAfied podcast. Guys, it's time for VERAfied Mail. We're going to be listening to reading some text and email from, I think the first one here we got, wow, it must be a big fan because their handle is VERAfan23. All right.
Okay, all right.
So, VERAfied Mail question is, Brandon, if you were still fighting, what mixed martial artist, current or from back in the day, is on your fight wish list?
John Bones Jones. I did not
Okay.
give him enough respect when we first met, and I for sure would love to give him another go round. Man, he's the man, but I had to learn my lesson the hard way when he broke my face. I'd like to get that one back, for sure.
Johnny Bones Jones. Frank, who would you like to see Brandon fight if we were?
Oh, wow.
We're doing hypothetical.
Adolf Hitler.
Adolf Hitler. I'd like to see him beat up the leader of the Hamas. Yeah, that's
A rematch with Couture.
Oh, that would be a good one, man. I
Shout
gotta
out
be
to
in shape
Captain
on that
America.
one.
Yeah, because I heard that
Thanks,
that
Cap.
was, there were some issues in that particular decision, right?
absolutely.
So, yeah.
That was a good one.
Let's
Thanks,
run it back,
Randy.
baby.
That would be a good one, Randy.
Yeah.
Maybe Legends Run Back rematch.
The Masters Division of MMA. Check it out.
And then after, right, you beat Captain America, although I love Captain America. You get to Expendables 5, right? I like it. I like it.
Expendables 5. Yeah, is it on 5 now or are they on 6?
I think they're on 4, but who knows, right?
Yeah.
Who's keeping count? Just, just keep it going. Keep Sly's getting it going. All right. Question number 2 for you. Who deserves the most praise for making you the man you are today? This is, by the way, from Pinoy in the 517.
The 517.
I think 517's like, I don't know, that might be in Kansas. So,
Pinoy 517, I don't think I can credit all of this, who I am today, to one person. If I could, I would, and I would say my dad, my father, And I'll tell you a short story is because that man worked the American dream, working probably 18 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week, 6 to 7 days a week. And that man never, ever in his entire life, ever told me he was tired. Never, ever said the word, I'm tired. The only thing he ever told us was, I could sleep again. But that word tired never, ever came out of his mouth. So no matter what is happening in my life or how I'm feeling or whatever's happening, I'm not tired. I'm never, ever tired. To credit my entire career, who I am, my being, that would be my entire family. From my Lola to my parents to my brothers, sisters who helped mold me to who I am, to my wife, to my son who's just 3 years old. I take a very student form at learning life. And when I walked into jiu-jitsu one day, I learned that even if you're a red belt or a black belt with 17 stripes, a white belt could come in off the street and teach you something today if you decide to pay attention. When I heard that smacked me in the face like something I've never felt before. And I've continuously to today learned stuff from my son who's 3 years old. So my entire family and everyone, including these 2 gentlemen sitting here with me, Chief and Mr. John Mafnas, have taught me something, and I am the way I am because I get to stand on the shoulders of giants, including my family.
Pinoy 517, you're in the presence of greatness, just even through the VERAfied podcast. Thank you for that, B.
Thanks, John. Thank you, Sir John.
Right. Chief, you and
Chief.
I, we've known each other for a long time, and at the end of the day, right, sometimes I hear him and I just go, I'm not worthy.
You know what? Brandon Vera for president.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Maybe, hey,
2028. Here we go.
my wish list.
Coming up.
Let's run it.
I'm telling
Let's
you, here we
run
go.
Let's run
You
it.
don't want to hear my locker room talk.
All right, guys, it's time for Truth or BS. I'm going to give you a statement, okay? You guys can arm wrestle on who it goes to, who wants
Chief,
to answer.
you go first, Chief.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got 2 statements today. You got to say, that's truth or that's that's BS. All right.
No.
That beep, it's like a...
Yeah, it's like for real. I can't even get that high.
When it's all said and done, Victor Wembanyama will be on your Mount Rushmore of basketball players.
Again, barring injury, man, his first 5-7 games, that kid looks great. I mean, but there's so much more than just being in the basketball court. Nowadays, especially with this,
Yeah.
you got to behave. You got to stay out of trouble. You can't be an asshole.
You should be anyway. No, you can be an asshole, but you should behave.
But Frank, it's funny because even just
skill alone.
yeah.
Boy, I would think he's going to be there.
But he handles
Truth.
this microphone pretty darn good too, man.
Never heard, and
He's a good guy. Some people say, "Oh my God, he's so polished. He answers the questions well." I think he's genuine, and
Yeah.
I think he's a
Okay.
good kid. Now, granted, we've had him in the United States and in the NBA for all of even officially, right? Because I don't
Couple
know
months.
if you want to count preseason, but if you're just talking about the regular season, we've had him for 5-6 games, whatever it is.
Exactly.
But just to see, you're not supposed to be 18 feet tall and be able to move like that and have the handles that he has and the poise and even when he has,
and the basketball IQ, you can see it.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
He has it. Yeah.
And I'm just thinking-
this kid is special.
And he's being coached
By Pop.
I mean, Greg Popovich.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Wow,
right?
man.
That's like say, oh, well, I'm gonna just join the football and I'm gonna get Lombardi or I'm gonna get Belichick or Lou Holtz is gonna coach me up, right? For my very first. I just think that he couldn't have asked for a better coach. But I just think, I think he's gonna be on the Mount Rushmore. Now I've heard other critics out there and journalists, sports journalists say. He's going to be better than Michael. He's going to be better than LeBron. Hold up now, guys. We don't even know if he's going to be better than Westbrook, right? But I just think if you're looking at a Mount
Shout out to
Rushmore-
Russ.
Yeah, right? It's
my boy.
So the potential's there.
UCLA Bruins.
UCLA. I just think that Wembanyama right now, if you're just taking, it's a small sample size, this kid is going places. And as you said, Frank, barring injury, woo, he's got a long career.
Yeah.
Watching him battle it off with Kevin Durant, there have been some comparisons because they're long and lanky.
Okay.
But when you have a shot that Victor has, I mean, I don't know how you can even defend that.
Clearly, you're a fan.
Yeah. Huge fan.
Yeah.
But I also like it when I see these young guys come in and they don't immediately, step on their dicks, right? I mean, they
Yeah,
come in
that's
and say,
very
this is
rare.
my
That's rare
opportunity,
too, yeah.
and I'm going to make the best of it.
That's
Yeah,
very
and
true.
that's what I mean. But you talk about polish. You talk about you don't be an asshole. There's certain things that help you get through that, so you don't have to. You won't be distracted. In other words, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you're focused on ball.
But I hate to put you on the spot. Truth or BS that he's going to eventually end up on your Mount Rushmore of basketball players?
Boy, I wish the kid well, but no, BS.
Okay, BS. All right. B, technology has been a catalyst in developing more intelligent and better prepared kids. Truth or BS?
I call bullshit. If you look at what passes for art today, and then you look at what art is or was in our history, and we're not talking cave paintings, I'm talking about those statues, the pyramids, the buildings that have been lasting. What's past centuries? What's thousands of years?
Oh, geez.
What's the word for that?
Millennia?
Yeah.
Millennia,
Yeah.
And then now we build roads that last one season. I think technology has helped us in certain regards, but
For sure.
overall, I think it has dumbed down our population to keep us preoccupied with ignorant shit that we don't need.
Yeah.
We don't strive as hard anymore because we have instant gratification at our fingertips.
Yeah.
You don't even have to try anymore.
I was talking to a friend of mine, runs a ship repair facility. Frank knows him very well. And he said, guys are walking in, and it's good, right? They are looking for careers. He's got guys walking in looking for jobs, and they get trained, thankfully. But they walk in at 20, sometimes 25 years old, and they've never used a hammer or a screwdriver.
See,
And when you see these kids out there, my
that-
kids included, right? I took them on a vacation one time and we're driving around, and I said, do you remember the scenery? Scenery? What? The mountains? It's because they have their faces either in the iPod or in their phones, and, it's just
the world's shooting by.
yeah. They're missing it. That's the best way to look at it. The world is just passing them by because they think that this is where it is. And if we can get the nose out of the iPad, out of the phone, I don't mind if you've got a Kindle reader, right? Oh, God, Dad, sorry, I missed it because I was reading this novel, but that's not what's happening. I'm watching this guy watch this other guy play a video game on YouTube.
With music in
Okay.
the background and talk.
All right, and that's a pretty scary thing. How about you, Chief? Technology has been a catalyst in developing more intelligent and better prepared kids. Truth or bullshit?
I'll just take an opposite just for the sake of good conversation. Yeah, I think so. It's helped, have certain kids become more productive, right? But here's where my thing is, and ever since I heard that phrase and that acronym AI, artificial intelligence, it's not, it's one thing to use like an app to prepare yourself for a test or something. But when that app absolutely replaces you, that's a different story, right? Now I don't need you anymore, right? So that's the concern that I have is this AI business. And I've always been wary of people like, oh, no, Frank, you could do this, you could do that, blah, 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 blah. And that's great if everyone in the universe is a positive person and they have nothing but the good of humanity in mind. This last 5 or 6 episodes, we've also talked about, the bad people, the evil people. Yeah. When they get their hands on this stuff, you got to think, you always got to plan for the worst, right? Yeah. And that's one thing you got to look at. And so I would say, to this point, technology has helped, kids become better, more productive, easier to study. I mean, bro, when I was in 6th grade and I had to write and woe is me, and I had to write, you go to the Encyclopedia Americana or Britannica. These are books, by the way.
Back in the day,
8,000 pages.
Kids will show you what a book
60
looks
of these suckers, and you have to go alphabetical. Okay, Rome.
And find your subject.
Yeah, find your subject, and then read it, and then paraphrase it or translate it. Nowadays, AI, just what do I want to say? Please write a paper for blah, 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 blah. And in 0.25 seconds, it's there.
There it is.
So you don't get the benefit of the value of the work, of the effort. You just, here you go, Dad.
Instant.
I'm smart.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
Frank, you touched on something. I'm scared when science fiction becomes nonfiction, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
in the bad sense.
Yeah. I used to, 1984, The Terminator came out. Remember that?
Yeah.
What was this backstory behind that? I mean, Arnold was all this, and Michael Biehn.
AI.
And all that. What was the backstory on that? It was AI, right?
Skynet. Skynet's coming online.
And exactly. And what?
John Connor. If John Connor and Sarah Connor were alive today, if they were real people, they would probably
they'd be shooting
dismiss.
it up.
Yeah, they would probably dismiss 90% of us.
Yeah.
Anybody that has phones and uses what's that thing at home? Alexis or
Yeah.
Siri. That's
Alexa.
Yeah.
Alexa's the Amazon one, I think. And Siri's the Apple one, and
See, man.
Yeah.
We would be considered robot friendlies. They'd probably get rid of us.
And that's not good because you need 3 bald-headed guys who are going to give you differing views.
Yeah.
All right. We are moving on to Mafnas' favorite segment. Okay? The VERAfied Top 5.
Here comes the anxiety.
Top 5, man.
This is presented by Guam Army National Guard.
The next time we should
And Grapplers Quest.
hit a blunt before we do.
Hey, top 5 with a blunt.
Oh,
Just,
I like that one.
I would wax poetically.
That'd be turned into an hour.
But I think you're going to like this. So, the VERAfied Top 5 presented by the Guam Army National Guard and Grapplers Quest today. Very fun. I think it was a couple months ago we had Halloween. So, give me your top 5 horror films of all time.
Okay. Good one.
I like these movie topics. It's fun to talk about. Vivi?
See, man, the old horror movies, if you watch them again today, they're not scary at all, man. And you're like, I can't believe I was scared of that. I couldn't see the cost. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought to that point because I totally agree with you, except for that one exception, which is my number 1 horror show. Like Jason and Freddy and those guys. They scare. Yeah, and they get stale. What doesn't get stale is the devil.
Yes.
That's why my Exorcist. That's boom.
My
right
number
there.
1.
I'm
Absolutely.
kind of like, I feel it right
Yes,
around here,
absolutely.
right?
The,
Yeah,
Exorcist,
yeah.
the original Exorcist.
That
The original-
shit,
yes, sir.
to this day, still scares the
Yes, sir.
fuck out of me.
Absolutely.
Let me add on to that. The reason why Exorcist is my number 1 too is because my sister had that same damn haircut at the same time, and my sister wore those type of PJs. You know, the shoulder puff ones with the little the
You
frills.
had Reagan living in your house.
Yo,
Whoa,
man, no,
dog.
man. So when I saw that movie, and the first time that girl turned her head around, I was like,
That one.
"That's my sister."
Right.
Oh my God, Michelle wears those clothes. Like,
The
oh my
head
God,
turning and the
Sorry,
bed.
Michelle. I know it wasn't you, but I was scared for a long time.
I didn't know her sister's name, but Michelle. Shit.
Oh,
She
man.
added you.
Sorry, Michelle. I was scared of you
Michelle,
and
you're
Exorcist
just
for a
finding
while.
this out now. This is like an intervention.
Getting goosebumps, like you said, Chief. Thinking about
Yeah,
that, man.
dude.
Okay,
Yeah.
so here's what we're gonna do. Instead of the three of us are gonna come up with 5.
Top
so
5, yeah.
It's hard to top that, right? You started
Okay.
with the number 1,
Well,
The
Exorcist, I think, is just, it has
And when you're talking about, because you're right, Chief. You know, the jump scares, the blood and gore. Okay, that's good for the moment. Then you walk out and it's forgettable.
Yeah.
But that psychological thriller, that
Yeah.
thing where you get home and you go,
Yeah.
what's behind the couch?
What would you do if
Anybody want to come? Anybody want to come to the bathroom with me? Right?
Can you stand by the door?
Oh, yeah.
Stand by the door.
Yeah, that's scary. So, Exorcist. I'm just going to throw out one, and if you guys haven't watched this,
Oh, I know what's
not just these two guys, but our verified podcasters. You gotta watch Sinister. Because
Sinister, okay,
Sinister
I'll put that
is
in.
a little bit of everything. You get the jump scare, you get the blood and gore.
That's a new one.
And you get the unapologetic. The writer and director and Ethan Hawke, I will just tell you.
Oh, wow.
That
Yeah.
they put this together and they must have just said, okay, we're either going to have a masterpiece on our hands or we're going to have a protest and everybody's going to shut us down. And it's been nice knowing you. Sinister has to go down, at least in my book, as
Yeah.
one of the top 5 horror movies of all time. If you haven't seen it, Frank,
I haven't, yeah.
The
and
Sinister.
I'm going to tell you right now, when it's all over and done with, one of 2 things going to happen. You're going to call me and say, we're coming over to kill you, or thank you so much for recommending this. And I think it might be the first. But so it's nice knowing you, verified podcasters. Love the audience. May not see me next week.
I'm gonna throw something in. Left
Please.
field. Superstar. J-Lo from the block. J-Lo from the block.
Okay.
Horror film.
Okay.
Does it make sense, huh? What's going on? Talk about the movies that'll mess your head up. It's called The Cell.
The Cell.
The
I know The Cell, and
If
you
you've
are
never
not
seen
wrong
it,
at all, B.
Go watch that movie, man. Go watch that movie. And it's J-Lo. So it's like, in a horror movie, what? She's going to fall down and scream and, you got me, you got me. No, man. No.
It's
Oh my
actually
God.
extremely well written.
It's gonna mess you up.
Yeah,
It's gonna. You're gonna have to watch it 3 times to understand what happened, but you're
And
gonna be
it's
scared the whole
mind-blowing.
time.
But here's the other thing.
It's a good one though.
Yeah, and she's good. She's good in that.
All my
probably
horror
good.
shows are like old.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know why? Because I never wanted to go back to another horror story. Unless someone said, you got to go. Right? No, I think I'll pass. And that's okay. But I'll check that out. Sinister
The
and
Cell
right?
and Sinister.
Give me another one, Frank.
Again, old school, that demonic crap. Omen. The Omen.
Oh yeah,
Just
that's
that
a good one.
shit. You think, you're like,
No, because you
down,
don't think
Davey.
you've heard sounds before somewhere in the house somewhere.
oh, yeah.
and you didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
Well,
I still hear that shit in my house. Are you kidding
that
me?
scene with the nanny slash caretaker
Yeah.
that decides to say hello and you know
Yeah.
over the edge
Yeah.
with a
Yeah.
rope. Yeah, that's wow. That's hard to get that out of the head. Okay, so we've got
4.
Exorcist, Sinister,
Sinister.
The Cell, which I
Cell.
think is a great addition. We have
I
The
gotta
Omen.
check out that Cell. Yeah.
Okay,
And it's so weird
J-Lo,
because it's
right?
J-Lo. Like, what are you
Yeah.
doing here?
Yeah.
We need one more.
you know what? I'm gonna ask my brothers from our production.
Oh,
crew, Three
yeah,
Blind Mice,
Three Blind Mice.
because
The
Bojo,
IMDb.
Molina, and
Yeah.
Rob. I mean, they got they're
Film
they're
experience.
cinephiles. Talk to me.
One of the first ones, zombie movies, Day of the Dead.
Day of the Dead.
Day of the
Old
Dead is
school.
good, but I do have to say,
That is
and I'm
old
glad Bojo brought that up. I'm not a huge zombie movie fan.
Yeah.
But for you guys who are like me, where you go, zombies, 2 movies that have to be on your radar. And you can call them horror movies because about zombies, phenomenal. 28 Days Later.
Oh, yes, sir.
Oh, I think that's
Days
Danny
Later.
Boyle, if I'm not mistaken.
See?
You run. You have to run. You have to run.
And World War Z.
Yes.
Brad
Yes.
Pitt.
Yes. Those are the zombies that we hope don't show up when they show up. They're fast and they don't die right away.
Yeah.
And Brandon, you've seen those, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if
I've
you've
seen World War
them.
Zombie, yeah.
But they have such a realism to them that you just go, okay, let me remind myself that this is just a movie. Rob, you agree?
I agree.
Yeah.
And I have to add in, just because we're talking about zombie movies, I have to add in Train to Busan.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's although after that, I think watching that the first, I didn't want to eat. Right?
Messed you up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think John has watched all these movies, bro. That's what you. That's what he does in his spare time.
Oh,
That's
sorry.
a really good one.
One
Yeah.
last
Another guy.
one. You have to watch Day Zero. Because it's my zombie movie.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That one.
All
They're
right.
fast in that
You know
one,
what,
too.
guys? Segways are for kids. We're good here. All right. Day Zero, starring yours truly. Well,
That's right,
Not
I
yours
forgot
truly.
about
but This one right here. The
forgot.
Truth.
Yeah.
Brandon Vera. That's awesome. B, now that we're on that, where can podcasters find that? Where can your verified fans find Day Zero?
So I think Day Zero is available on Amazon Prime. And our other movie that's been out by Bust is on Netflix, I believe.
Yes. Yes.
So there's more coming out. We're shooting more stuff in 2024.
Guys,
That'll be
remember,
released, yeah.
this is an entrepreneur. We say former, but he's an MMA superstar, right? He's a legend, known worldwide. He's also a movie star. So be looking out for everything else coming out. But Day Zero you can find on Amazon Prime. You know what? The truism I'm going to throw out to you guys, and one of you, if you want to touch on it, because it's huge,
Get it, Chief.
but it is
It's
You ready,
huge,
Chief?
Chief. Are you ready?
God and government.
Oh,
God.
that's a good one, Chief.
See,
That's huge.
No,
yeah.
he's lighting up. I'm like, God and
No,
government.
I
shit.
lit up. I was like, thank God I passed this one.
God and government, huh? Ooh, boy.
You know, obviously, and for obvious reasons, we talk about separation of church
Yeah.
and state.
Yeah.
But
I know that's what people have
In
spoken
a
about.
perfect world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also believe, given our current state, and I'm not like a supremely religious individual, but I am very, very spiritual. And I think that our country, my universe, has gone wayward because we started to pull away from that. And if you look at all this policies today that are moving more towards the secular as opposed to the religious side, it just, once you say, well, God, he wasn't here with me today, so I'm going to go this way, this route, blah, blah, blah. And you can see from the positions how it's our country, again, my universe, it's really degraded. I mean, when I was thinking about this the other day, well, first, when we were kids, it was always, Catholic school raised. You always say, God's always in every lesson. I took, religion from 1 to 12, and theology, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that was just part of my life. And those are the guiding principles. We've gone away from that. So, and what's also just as crazy is the flag. When I was a kid growing up, it was an honor to roll up the flag at school, elementary school, right? Two guys, one guy holds it, he throws it, the other guy pulls it up, and that was an honor. Do you remember when that flag was almost about to hit the ground? What kids would do?
Yeah.
Don't let the flag hit the ground, because
Don't let it touch.
and people
Don't
would
let
run.
it touch.
It was like the world was going to end. That was nothing more than a lesson in just respect, right? And putting those two together, removing God and faith from the school and the classroom, and then that coincided with how we treated our flag. And so to your point, God and government, I believe they go together. Now, my God, Catholic God, doesn't have to necessarily be the same as yours. Whether you're Jewish, you're Islamic, or you're Buddhist. But when you believe in a spiritual sense, I think that gives you meaning, it gives you definition, and it gives you goals, right? And so I think that's what keeps us alive. Because when you remove that meaning, now all you want to do is kill other people, right? Then we get the whole respect of other human beings. So,
Well, we talked earlier in this episode about hate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where does it come from? I think sometimes, whether you look at religion, you look at a supreme being, our country and our world, we've lost our soul, and I think we need to find it. So,
well, I don't think we've lost it completely, but I think it's been slowly pulled away, and when you think about that, that's man's work, that's human's work, trying to pull you away from a spiritual God, which makes you evil. Just think about what I'm saying right now, right? That's kind of happening today, where we kind of depend on men only and not that spiritual being. As a result, there's wars, right?
Yeah.
There's hatred, there's evil, there's violence.
People use this word, excuse me, people use this word a lot incorrectly. They're always using the word systemic or systematic, I can literally say systemically, we as a people, as human beings, have been pulled away not just from God, but from morals and goodness. If you just take God out of the picture, it's hard to do, but if you could remove God from the picture, no matter who your God is, in the household, women have been financially compensated for kicking the men out of their lives, So I'm not just saying it's just the women's fault, but it used to be you had to have two parents at home because it was that hard. Now they make it easy so that you can only have one parent at the house who's not even at the house taking care of you. And along with God, if you have nobody at home teaching you morals, teaching you the right thing, teaching you how to be good, you're going to grow up just a hateful ass person. Just like you were talking about. And we end up with uneducated people who don't respect anything, who want war.
you have tuned in to VERAfied Podcast. Brandon Vera, Frank Arriola, John Mafnas. Guys, we're always going to give you the truth, so we hope you enjoy this. We're going to wrap this up today. It was a great episode.
Thank you very much.
Please tune in. We want to, again, give a shout-out to our brand partners, Guam Army National Guard,
yes,
Three Blind Mice, Guam Windward Memorial, Grapplers Quest, The Truth. You've been verified, people. Peace.